Hi, I'm Claire from the Kitschy Kitchen, and this is 10-Second Living, where I show you how to do practically anything in 10 seconds or less. And today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to explain the importance of greasing your cake pans and also how to do it correctly. A lot of times a recipe will call for greasing it with butter, greasing it with spray, flouring it, adding a parchment, and they all have different reasons for doing that. So hopefully this will add a little bit of clarification. So to start, the most basic and simple way of greasing a pan is to use some kind of cooking spray. Just a canola oil spray works great. And the thing here is what it does is it just lightly coats the pan. So whatever you bake in there should just kind of slip out really easily. So this is sort of a great all-purpose. But when you get recipes that have a cake or a baked good that's really high in sugar and high in fat, you might need to grease it a little bit more just to give it a little more love so it slips out really easily. And then sort of the Big Daddy response is to flour it as well. The reason why you would grease something with butter and then add flour is because it kind of creates this little bit of a crust. So it prevents the butter from like joining in with the rest of the cake, and it creates this really sort of chewy crust on the outside. So it isn't something you would want to do with a really delicate cake, but with something like brownies, where having a little bit of a chewy crust is a great thing. This is a really efficient way to do that. So here's how you butter and flour a cake pan really quickly. Just toss a little bit of butter on there, and then with your hands, smooth it all the way out. So that's well buttered. You can see it's thin. It's not like a super duper heavy coat. It shouldn't be this like pool of butter when everything bakes. And then I'm gonna add the flour. And you're gonna add way too much flour, just because that's kind of the way to do it. So here's like, I don't know, a quarter cup-ish. And what I'm gonna do then is just pat the cake tin like so. And then I also roll it around so I get the edges as well. And then what I do is I pour it into this guy just like this, so that all the excess is gone and I have just like a really thin layer. So this will once again create a slightly chewy crust, but it ensures that everything comes out really, really easily. And then there's the parchment, and the parchment is like the life insurance policy of the cake. If you add parchment, this cake is going to come out. You're gonna be totally fine. So if you cut out a parchment, that's a great way to ensure that your cake's gonna come out in one piece looking amazing. And if I'm making a foam cake, so meaning like an angel food cake or a sponge cake, any cake that involves lots of egg whites, I would use just a parchment. And the reason why is because using too much fat or butter would really kind of ruin the cake. The cake is supposed to be really light and fluffy, and you don't really want hardly any fat in it whatsoever. So you want to keep it a completely dry surface with just a little bit of parchment to make sure it pops right out. So hopefully this provides a little bit of clarification about why we grease our pans, and this will also ensure you never have a cake stick again. For recipes featuring this technique, check out my blog, thekitschykitchen.com.